Hi everyone, it's Timo Boy here. Today we'll talk about one of my favorite pre-hardmode weapons. Stone Spear.
Oh my god, bro.
Oh, hell no, man. What the fuck, man?
So, Stone Spear is a pretty interesting one. This is the weapon that shoots range from the spark every swing, and the spark deals 21 base damage, while the spear itself does like 14 damage. Don't be deceived by its rather not impressive base damage, because spears naturally hit several times per swing. How do we even obtain this thing? Well, it is a desert chest loot. Much like underground jungle, underground desert enemies are pretty powerful, and on top of that the underground desert biome is filled with traps that await your demise. So is it worth to traverse such a dangerous area to get the Stone Spear? And I'm actually super duper hyper duper happy to say it performs super duper great on the dummy test. Well, it performs pretty good on the dummy test, to be honest, with 140-180 single target damage per second. Stone Spear isn't really like the greatest crowd control weapon, however it can work in this regard. It is nothing in comparison to the Blade of Grass when it comes to crowd control. However, when it comes to single target damage per second, Blade of Grass, which is in my opinion one of the best pre-boss swords in the game, or actually the best pre-boss sword in the game, deals from 90 to 120 damage per second, after adding the poison debuff to the mix. So what is the performance against some master mode bosses? Because real-world tests are actually something that will tell us whether Stone Spear is worth getting, yeah? So we'll first compare Stone Spear and Blade of Grass against Eye of Cthulhu. And the spear did a really nice job, and so did the Blade of Grass, which was to be expected. Blade of Grass was much better at managing servants, while Sparky Spear dealt more damage to the boss when it was exposed. There's not really much more to say, since it's just Eye of Cthulhu. Moving to Eater of Words, here let's say our Stormy guy did a pretty bad job. I was still able to defeat Eater of Words without bigger issues. However, the Blade of Grass performed much better in this regard. It killed Eater of Words like 3 times faster than Stone Spear. So, interestingly, even though Spear isn't really the best when it comes to crowd control, it performed pretty decent against Brain of Cthulhu. I was able to quickly deal with all the creepers and get to the second phase. Still, Blade of Grass felt more powerful than the desert weapon. Now we're going to the Queen P or Queen B. And here I felt confident, and the only thing that posed a threat to me were the bees summoned by Big Mommy. I would say the spear did much better job at damaging the boss, when the grass sword felt much safer to use, but slightly underpowered at the same time. I also challenged the Big B with Volcano. That thing felt much more powerful than the Blade of Grass. And lastly, I compared this thing to the Terragrim. And Terragrim is super good, provided you have insane amount of defense, because you pretty much have to face tank with Terragrim. The last dummy for today is the Skeleton himself. Here I compare the spear to the Blade of Grass, Volcano, High 5 Yo-Yo, Terragrim and Beekeeper. I don't know why I added Beekeeper, but I added Beekeeper because I pretty like this thing. And Volcano did great job killing the hands, however it felt super unsafe to use in the second phase, which is due to the fact that Volcano faces on the movement direction, and that forced me to expose my back to the boss. And yes, the damage output was super good, but also super unsafe. Terragrim has much smaller range than the previous guy, so yeah, the fight was far from chill. Unfortunately, 500 DPS did not save me from death. And now moving to the Blade of Grass and the Beekeeper. Both of these swords were much better in the second phase. Yes, the DPS was much worse, but DPS is not really everything. I feel like 10 times safer during the second phase. And I didn't die even once. So moving to the High 5, and High 5 was much better than all previous weapons. It was dealing solid damage from much safer range. And now we're going to the Stone Spear. And well, to be honest, it felt super good. Yes, it was not perfect during the first phase, But what surprised me was the fact that it was super duper convenient in the sacrifice. Having more range without sacrificing damage output was truly epic. And because of that, High 5 and Stone Spear were actually the best against Skeletron, which is kind of interesting. I managed to defeat Skeletron faster with Stone Spear than with a Volcano, and I also felt much safer during this fight. So here it is. Is it worth to get this weapon? And well, in my opinion, definitely, especially during spear only run. To be honest, I think this is like the most valuable spear in the whole game, simply because Dark Lens is just greatly overshadowed by the Knight's Edge, and Dark Lens isn't really the greatest against Master Mode Wall of Flesh, and all the other spears in the game, maybe except Glorified Partisan, aren't really that good against bosses. Well, the North Pole is cool against all bosses except Moonlord and maybe Lunatic Cultist, but I think you get what I mean. The Stone Spear is among one of the best melee weapons against a majority of pre-hardmode bosses. Obviously, its availability falls apart after Skeletron simply because it is worse than the Dark Lens. Still, I think Stone Spear is a weapon worth getting. What do you think about it? Leave a comment, nobody watches me, bye.